Okay, so our topic today uh is a job interview. Pretty much understanding how to nail your first job interview, pretty much. So so it's like we're gonna talk about some tough questions that can be asked during the any VFX job interview. Um, Something like what do you say when someone asks how much money did you earn at your last job? Right? Or like, what is your weakness? What is your strength? Those kind of simple questions, but can be a little tricky to answer properly. Um, I mean, there are a lot of like workshop or tutorials on how to do the job interview, but many of them are fairly generic, and then actually geared more towards the corporate side, like corporate companies. Not much about like animation or VFX companies. Even though in general they are very similar, there are some specific things that it will be nice that you guys know about it before you're actually going into any of the job interview, which will most likely happen, after you complete the program. Either maybe you're doing a job interview over Zoom or like over a phone call. I doubt that you guys will be invited uh, to actually come to their company office and then sit down with anybody at this point, at this current situation right now. But you never know. Things may change pretty quickly. So it's definitely job interview is the one of the necessary process that everybody has to go through in order to get a job. So even though it may be second to the portfolio or demo reel, but it is also fairly important and require step that you need to take to land a job, I guess. I'm sure many of you have done the interview before, right? Um, I am aware that not everybody has done the interview, uh, but if you have, you may have some idea about what to expect and what kind of thing that you need to be a little careful about it. Okay. But then again, I hope that this lesson works as a reminder or a refresher for some of you who haven't done the interview for a while now. Um, so let's get into it. Okay. Um, so let's just start it out. I mean, now you are going into the job interview. In VFX or animation industry, it is actually definitely a good sign. It means that they already seen your work and they really like your work already. So the part that you need to worry about in terms of your quality of the portfolio or whether they like your work, you don't have to worry too much about it because they already seen it. So the only reason they invite you to the interview means they like your work already. So that they by the time they you are going into interview, you probably have like two or three maximum like candidate, like final candidate for that role, pretty much, and you are happen to be one of them. So your chance of landing a job is fairly high, right? And during the interview, rather than them asking you about a lot of technical questions, like pretty much, they probably not going to ask you too much about actual knowledge that you have. It's more about they want to check out your personality and then whether you are going to be good fit for that particular company, right? In other words, like they want to get a better idea of whether or not you would fit in which team with the team, and just um, you have to understand that it's not going to be like it's not like you are going into interrogation room and then you have to answer all the tough questions they're going to be asking you. It's more of in many cases, every time I go to job interview with my own experience, it's more of casual sitting. You don't get to, it's not like you will be sitting down, properly dressed, and then, it's not like that at all. It's more like a very open setting, and it's usually very casual conversation that you will be doing. And then many times the interviewer will ask you actually, um, hearing your answers and have making some value judgment regarding your personality and how you are actually behave and those kind of things. So it's more like it's a two-way thing, right? It's not just, once again, it's not like you are sitting in the chairs and they're gonna ask you, you're gonna be answering all of the questions they could be, uh, you know. It's more like you kind of, going back and forth and talk about different things. It's also the job interview is also a good way for you to actually see for yourself about the company and make some judgment whether you think you are the right person for the role. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to be happy as well to work in there. It's not like you are begging them to go to work for them. You know what I mean? It's more like you also have to be happy, it has to be comfortable at the job. Otherwise, you cannot last for a long period, long time, right? So it's also the great chance for you to actually to see the company for yourself, actually meet somebody who actually, um, actually working there, and you can get a bit of a vibe and you know by their gestures or how they talk, you can get some idea. Maybe it's a lot of guesswork in that side, but you can actually can see how what you like to be working at the particular company, right? So as I said earlier, your job interview is not an interrogation. It's more about trying to find out what kind of personality you have and what you contribute to the what can you contribute to the studio pretty much. um, so so once again, just the fact that you are being invited to the job interview in the at least for the animation and VFX industry, the most likely you will get a job. So the main thing for you is not to screw up, right? So that's why. Once again, your job interview is about a two-way conversation. It's not like you will be going into the interview and keep answering the question they will throw at you. You are also in control of the feel and the vibe and the outcome of the entire interview, depending on how you would like to approach it, right? We'll talk about it some as the later part of the lesson, but in a way, it's important for you to show your excitement or your willingness to work there, right? And you can just create that type of positive vibe when you actually talk to them. So that is fairly important for them to actually important for you in order for you to do well on your job interview. Okay, so that being said, about what it's like to be going into the job, I have some tip that something that we should really look into it. If you have done any type of job interview, it will sound fairly familiar to you, and it's not like something that you never heard about or never knew about before. But let's just go over it. So it'll be serve as a good reminder for everybody. So the first tip is that it's alright to be nervous for your job interview. It is important to be confident about your work and yourself, but it is also okay to be a bit nervous before your first interview, okay? I mean, many interview people who interview like hundred people, they are fully aware, and then I mean, especially if you are junior, and you are fresh out of school, they completely understand that side of it, right? So, and they always keep that into consideration. Um, Unless you are extremely nervous to the point that you are unable to communicate properly with them, that can be a problem, right? Because they have a, like at least a minimum standard they set up for themselves. So, but then again, you being nervous during an interview, maybe hesitate a little bit, it's not going to be too much a factor that will decide your outcome, especially you are applying for the junior position. So don't feel too worked up or too stressed out about the job, about it, right? It's completely fine. Um, Tip two is don't be arrogant. I mean, just don't be an cocky person, pretty much. That's what pretty much asking. There's no studio wants to hire anyone who is really braggy and arrogant. I have to admit, especially us, as a creative individuals, it is very easy to fall into that trap. I mean, I'm sure you have a bit of confidence in your work and what you do. But it is completely fine to have that type of self-confidence in your work. But you shouldn't be, really, it's not a really good place to really showcase your how awesome you are during the job interview because they already know, they already seen your work pretty much, right? So it is important that I mean, I mean, we all have a bit of an ego, right? It's not like, everybody has it. Um, but it's not really, a lot of times it's kind of a sign, it's kind of red flag by many of the people if you are trying to really, you know, really make it really visible in front of everybody during the interview, right? So it's important that you kind of approach them as a humble person who is aware of her or his weakness, right? And then and then willingness to work hard to improve. That was the actual the right personality you need to really showcase to your interviewer, pretty much. Okay. Um, I guess it's fairly straightforward. Anybody have any questions so far? Something you're not sure about? Feel free to type it in the chat box or just speak to me. Yeah, yeah. Well, it is most likely that you will be doing an interview over Zoom, or they will ask you, for a phone conversation. But I expect a lot of interview will be mostly the meeting over Zoom because they would love to see your facial expression and how you reacting to some of the questions, right? They need some kind of visual feedback for the interview. So just talking over the phone may not going to be enough actually. So maybe some studio maybe open it up a little more and maybe invite you over to the company. It is completely up to you. I don't think they're going to force you to come to the studio if you uh, tell them you're not comfortable going into the studio in person because of the current situation. So, um, you know, but as for your question, it'll be most likely interview over Zoom pretty much. They shouldn't be. I mean, you never know how they're going to react, but to be honest, but by officially they cannot do that, right? It shouldn't be the factor to decide whether they're gonna offer you a job or not because you didn't show up for the interview. It's just does not make sense. It's not fair because the current situation, everybody needs to be aware. Okay. Did that answer your question, Dwayne? Or okay, okay. Okay, Celine. So, in terms of the process, yeah, in a way, it's kind of similar in a way. I mean, many cases that you will see a job posting, right? And then they have you in many of the job posting usually have the email address. They put it down there and ask you to apply. And then you pretty much send the email with your resume attached, and then maybe email message will be pretty much work at your cover letter. Pretty much you simply explain that you are interested in, using your job post on this website, and you are very interested in this position you want to apply, and you pretty much simply explain about your background, and then and then after that, if they seen your work, they like your work, they will contact you, right? And then for in many cases, the next at that time they will be asking you for maybe a bit of a reference. No, it's most time they actually ask for the invite you for the interview. So they'll be asking, can you come in to, are you available this time of the day? Blah blah blah. And then yeah, you are interested, and then I have the interview, right? And then yeah, after that, and if they like your work, then they offer you position. If they don't, then they usually in many cases, if they don't think they can offer you a position, they just do not contact you, right? It's not like I in my case, I let you know no matter whether you in my case when I review the portfolio, I let you know whether you got the job, whether you got the admission accept it or not, no matter what, I contact you. But in terms of company wise, some of them do, but many studios they don't let you know at all. So either you don't hear from them for some time, which means that you don't get the job, right? You can ask for them, maybe just email them and then ask for the status of your application and what's happening, and they maybe be someone there may be able to answer that. Okay? That answer your question? Okay. Yeah, feel free to let me know about the this process because if you have not done it before, it may be a little confusing because it's always sometimes the first time it's a little daunting, right? So it's completely fine. Okay, tip three. Don't badmouth your colleague or past workplace. I mean, if it's first time that you're going into it, you maybe it does not really apply to you, but if you have any prior experience, workplace, it's never a good idea. Even if your interviewer maybe tempt you, direct you to answer that kind of way because they want to find out about what happened at the previous place. It is never a good idea to do so, okay? To remember that you are being interviewed in order to glimpse of who you are, okay? If you start bad mouthing about or kind of trash talking someone else or from the previous place, the interviewer may think that I'm okay. Maybe this guy will be trash, bad mouth me when he or she go and move on to a different place, right? So you just don't want to give an impression that you are not you are that kind of person. You have to be really careful because it's like there's no way for them to know everything about you during short like 30-minute interview, right? So whatever impression they get during the interview session will be the one that pretty much sets tone on you, and they will whenever they see you they will get that impression, right? So it's important that you don't give them any types of wrong impression about somebody who you are not, right? So you're not supposed to be. I mean, So it's very important that you just be careful with that type of thing. Okay? Okay, don't lie. Okay? So industry is small, so people know each other. Don't assume that you can fool them by saying something that is not true about yourself. Okay? Because they will know and they'll find out it is very serious thing. Okay? Especially this is largely applied to your demo reel, right? I mean, you work on something and then you add some of the work not entirely done by yourself on your demo reel and then claim that it was a whole shot was done by yourself. If they find out that that's not true, it's not gonna fly well, right? So and then it is almost an immediate you will be blacklisted easily right there, and then once you get that, it will be extremely difficult to actually find another job because in many times when you move on to different studio, there's a high chance that the person at the new place may know somebody from your previous place, right? So um, it's always important that you be truthful to whatever that you say, and don't overblow it. Don't like say something that you did something you did not. Okay? It also creates a false expectation of you as their artist, and they may give you the work that's something that really you're not really capable of doing it, right? And then once they find out that you cannot do certain tasks which you said you can do it during the interview, you know, they think that, oh, this guy lied to me. Why did you say something like you are good at like FX simulation when you have never touched Houdini before? So it's like those type of the thing it's not gonna fly well. So just be careful with that part, okay? And be open and positive minded. It is important that you clearly show your excitement, commitment to the job. They want to hire people with the best abilities, obviously, with the people who have the best quality of the work, obviously, your demo reel. But at the same time, they want to bring in and they want to invest on people who will be committed to the work and willing to contribute something positive to the company, right? So it's not just about how amazing your demo reel or portfolio is going to be, but the main thing for them, it's very important for them, is whether whether you are a complete asshole or not, right? It's very important that they want someone who can actually work well within a group setting. And I'm sure you guys all know by now, this animation is very labor intensive process which involve a lot of different individuals uh, working for a single project in many cases, right? So if you just one person who's doing everything, that's fine, right? Because you don't have to worry about mingle with anybody else because you are the one person who will do all the work. However, if it's not, you're working at a much bigger company, I think you'll be fairly specialized, right? So it's very important that you are fully aware of that side. Okay, you guys are good so far? Okay. So the next part is I just look at a number of different places, a number of different like other things and research and put together some of the most commonly asked questions about job interview. In this question, I even remember myself recall that those questions actually asked during my job interview. Um, so let's just go over some of them, and then most commonly, and maybe some top questions. In that case, you are aware of that before, advance. Maybe you can well prepared for that. So many time they usually start off by, like they ask you like, tell me about yourself, and this is the one chance that you can really talk about yourself and stand out from the rest. I mean, you can talk about many things to explain about yourself, or maybe about the events that you regularly attend, maybe hobbies that you enjoy, anything that you're doing in your spare time. Um, but you can talk about anything, your some side hobby, something that you have a passion for. Um, but in many cases, actually, it works very well if you actually somehow correlate, kind of relate your hobbies, the hobby or anything that you enjoy doing, is just somehow related to the industry that you're going into, right? Whether it's going to be something like, oh, I enjoy watching animations, TV shows. I have this passion for like I don't know, like Japanese anime, or I love to create like sculptures during my hobbies. I know, and it will help me with my improving my modeling skills. Those type of answer will actually fly fairly well. Um, so the main thing that you have to really remember is that you need to demonstrate who you are and be memorable, right? Something that I think of, something that you can actually think about something unique, something a little different, right? I know it sounds like we are playing a number game, um, because it's like, but there will be, no matter what, there will be some type of competitions, right? So eventually, we will play these games of the company is kind of narrowing down um, the candidate, right? And then so it is actually, I know it kind of sounds harsh, but that's what it is pretty much, right? So okay, so another question that are pretty commonly asked during the job interview is usually they ask you like, what do you know about the company, right? What do you know about our studio? Obviously, can be a fairly tough question because there is no such thing as clear right or wrong answers, pretty much. Um, but that's why many times I really ask everyone to do some research about the company if you are ever invited to the job interview. Because if you do not do any research on the company and they ask you this type of question, and this is something that easily screw up your job interview right there. You don't have to do like really detailed research on these companies or and things like that, but just going into their website, maybe just checking out some of the show they worked on or some of the movies they worked on, or anything they worked on, or the style or the type of work they did. You don't just have some idea about that, or it's not like you have to memorize who is the founder of the company, what year was it created, and those kind of things. It's just complete overkill. But just have an idea about the style, the direction they're going into, and that will help you quite a bit. Also, it'll be a good idea to memorize or remember a couple of projects that you feel like to really stand out and something that you really like or catch your attention, and maybe you can actually talk about that, right? Um, just like you just keep saying that, I seen, I know that you guys worked on this work, this show, these movies, and I love that the some of the animation work that's being character animation being done on these characters, and it's something that really inspired me to improve my skills as animators. Those kind of thing, right? Or I've seen these movies and I love that this particular effect or effects special effects simulations that was done by your companies, and it's something that really, something that I really wanted to achieve and improve my skills is that side of, developing this effects work. Um, that's why I really wanted to work here and just improve myself as an artist. You can just say that in much nicer way, but by giving them some examples of the work they did, it pretty much giving them the impression that you are genuinely interested in the job, right? So so it's important that you guys do some quick research on the company and find out about that, right? Another question is also they asking you, why do you want to work here, right? Once again, this is not a clear right or wrong answer for the question. Um, but in a way, kind of helps them to figure out what is your real reason for applying the job here. I mean, you can say that, like, I need a paycheck. That's why you guys getting. I want to get paid for my work. That's why I'm here. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but you can see that it doesn't really sound good, right? Um, so it's more about if you've been asking that type of question, it's better that you maybe it's good time to also talk. If you have done some research about the company earlier, it will come really handy, right? You maybe bring up one of the examples that one of the shot that you really liked, and maybe bring it up, and then talk about the how why you really like it, how or why, right? Why it inspire you to work, really want to work at the company. So it actually fly very well if you actually go that direction, right? Um, Never a good idea to actually talk about financial compensations or money or when they ask something like that here. It's more about they want to see your passion, not uh, that you're more interested in money or anything like that. So I mean it's completely fine to do that, but just let's it's not a good place to say something like that when they ask you to why you work there, why you want to apply. As you said in my third point, it's more about aligning with the reasoning being that you are committed to them, know about them, and want to work with them. Okay? So also the another question that's being also asked is what are your strengths or weakness, right? Um, Once again, this is asking about how you feel about yourself. I mean, so this question can be a little tricky because you have to be a little careful with what you say. You don't want to give the impression that you are like overly confident to the point that you come across as being like really, arrogant or cocky. Um, but it is also important that you have to also show that you are also, have confidence about your ability to provide something, contribute something positive to the company. So it's just like it's important that for you to kind of find a nice balance. Um, so it's very nice to say that you are confident with what you do, but you should be honest about what you're good at and what you are not. Um, so this will prevent them from having wrong expectation about yourself. Also, it actually flies much better because you can say like, okay, I'm good at modeling and animation. Maybe I really love doing the character development side of it, but I am not really good at maybe effect simulation or maybe environment modeling and lighting. And but I am aware that that's my weakness, and if it require me to, if my job require me to improve that skill, I will be more than happy to do so. And I'm completely willing to devote myself and commit myself to improving that side of my skill. So that's really a more likely good way to saying it. I know that I even had experience with a number of people when I was interviewing them, saying like, what's your strength, what's your weakness, and they saying like, oh no, I don't have any weakness. Like they saying like, I am pretty much good at everything. I am the pretty much the best in the world. So there were actually people actually saying that and thinking that and actually say it out loud to interviewers. And that is really, give them a red flag right there. They want somebody who is willing to understand their strengths and weakness and willing to work hard to improve that and fill any missing gap or you know what I mean. They don't want somebody who comes in like really overly confident and don't try to listen to other people what they saying, right? Also, it doesn't really fly well when you say like you are really good at everything, but your demo reel does not really support that fully. In that case, they may be questioning your judgment, whether what like you there will be questioning whether what is the definition of good on your end, right? And what is the definition of the bad, right? So they may have a, you'll really have them give them a doubt about your abilities and how you are looking at um, the work done by yourself, right? So it's important that you clearly indicate that I am good at this, but I also understand that I am lacking some skill set in this area. So but I'm willing to work hard to improve that. Yeah, the Rebecca put down some funny story on the chat box. So it is actually, as you can see, it is one of the fairly commonly asked questions. So in a way, it'll be good that if you don't have to write, write a really long, like paragraph, preparing the answer wholeheartedly because you never know what they're gonna ask anyway. But just have kind of have some thought about these questions will be, and expecting these questions will be asked during the interview. So that will really help you understand, and then we be really good doing a good job on that job interview, right? Okay. So now let's get down to a little bit more greedy sides, greedy side. Um, so the question is, how much money do you want? So it's a question that's being asked during the interview, and I am aware that many students and many new people fresh in the industry will have extremely difficult time to answer because they have no idea. As you can see, it's probably the hardest question that you need to answer if asked, because they are putting it on you to give them a number. And many people are very afraid of giving them. Maybe is this number too low? They have no idea, right? Maybe this number too high. It's too high that they're gonna back away. If the number is too low, then you just have ended up losing the potential money that you would be able to get it, right? So, so as I said on my second point, the real key to this question is to have them come up with a number. I mean, in my case, it's not a really good idea. You should not be the one providing them with a number, because in many cases, the company already has like the budget on their mind, how much they are willing to pay you, right? So let them give you the number first, and then you go with and then continue with the discussion. In many cases, when they give you the number, the specific number usually have around 20% wiggle room in terms of negotiation. So if you feel like the number is too low, then you should ask to move it up so by 20% of the number they're offering, or you just accept whatever they offer, right? So you could say like, I'm not entirely sure what the number I'm going for until I find out more information about this position, right? But I would be a lot comfortable if you just let me know what kind of base figure you are thinking. Then we can go from there. You know what I mean? So it's just you have to put it in a nice way, and it's not the company shouldn't be asking you. Um, but I had a couple of times they actually asked me what is my salary expectation. Um, I wouldn't suggest that you give them a number unless you are fairly clear about how much money that you wanted to earn from this position. Okay? It is better off that you make them give you the number and then you negotiate from there. That is more of a sure way to get the best out of the whatever the negotiation process you do. Um, Many times the people actually wait until the later part of the interview or later part of hiring process to talk about money and how much compensation that you're looking to get. Um, I used to usually wait until that. I used to do the same, but there's also a lot of talk about it's better off to talk about it earlier part than later because I've seen so many times that everything goes well and then the interview goes well, the people love your work, and then later you found out the money that you are getting when it's like right before you sign the contract, that you finally bring up that the number, how much that you expected to pay and things like that, and then they give you the too low number. And that is pretty much waste both of the parties' time and then effort and everything. So sometimes it may be a good idea to kind of talk about it a little earlier, so you don't have a like get you don't get they don't get the wrong idea and you don't get the wrong idea. So there's no miscommunication on that side. Okay. Yeah. hmm There's some rough numbers, but it's not. There's no such thing as like standard salary that every company is actually doing it same, right? It's every company is a little different in terms of what they offer. In terms of junior position, it's around. Also depending on the position that you're going into. Also depending on the size of company as well, and then the length of a contract. Which is a lot of different factors goes into it. But I don't know. Yeah. No, no, no. Don't worry about that. It's not like they're gonna they gonna give you third money. No, it's not. It's not. Not to worry. It's a base salary is about close to similar to the university graduate. around that. I think it's around. I've seen people getting paid around 40K per year, but I've also seen people getting paid around 55 for the junior position. 55, 55K. Um, but once you actually reach the senior level or lead position, the salary figure actually goes, almost becomes a six figure. Um, so it's very comfortable life. It's not like you don't get paid enough. And then I haven't seen 3D artists struggle financially, even if they have a job. Usually you get paid comfortably, uh, you know, to maintain sustainable and maintain good standard of life. Just that you will be, in many cases, you will be very busy, right? So. Um, it's just more about finding right balance between life and work. That's the more important in that case, right? But once again, there's no standard salary that I can really talk to you about. In many cases, the company have a different idea, um, so different type, different pay scale, and things like that. So yeah, that's why it's very hard. I'm sure you can find not manage that. It's every you look it up on the internet. Everybody's saying different number. So no wonder because there's no standardized salary uh, number that everybody can actually go into. So another question is how much did you earn in your last place? So it's another tough question. If you actually work in any previous animation studio, and they maybe sometimes they ask you something like that, but you're not supposed to answer that. Actually, I'm not sure, but I think I'm aware that some part of the U.S. is actually even illegal for the employer to ask how much did you earn, right? So it is important for you need to deflect or divert the question a little bit. So um, to make sure that the focus should be on how much you are worth at this current place that you are applying for the job, not necessarily the previous place. So if you ask this type of question, you know, you can just say that what I earned in my previous place did not really exactly reflect how much I should be compensated, right? So it does not really reflect the correct the appropriate amount that I should be getting. So yeah, I would be much appreciate that if we actually talk, our focus is more on the current place, and then you can ask for that. This is maybe good time to maybe ask for what is the ideal, expected number that you're thinking about to your job interview if you've been asked that question like this. Okay. Um, yeah. Once again, they shouldn't be asking this actually, to be honest. So. And you have every right to say no, that you don't want to disclose your the amount that you um, earned from the previous place. Just explain it nicely in good way. That the whatever I think that the focus should be on more on how much I should be, I am worth at this current place, right? Not about the previous place. Okay. So in many times by the end of the job interview, in most of case, they ask you this question. Do you have any other questions? In almost most of them say, no, I'm good. Thank you very much for the interview and everything. However, this is one chance, or just good chance for you to really shine um, by asking some, I said intelligent, but any good, clever questions, something that's related to the work. Like you may be going into more detail about, so what kind of project I will be working on? So what will be the duration of the project? Do you have any specific concerns about project? Like the interviewer may say, okay, this project is, has a lot of deadline, and then we need to like hit the deadline every time. We cannot afford to miss any of the deadline of this particular project, which I'm really concerned about whether we can actually do so. If they say something like that, that is actually really good information, right? And you can just say, okay, oh, I worked on this project before. Maybe I did this school project before with other group members, and then we had like, multiple levels of the tutorial. The due date for the this project. And then we worked really hard, and we were able to um, work fast enough to meet all the deadline and come up with a really good quality of work. So you can say that like it's also one of my good side about myself is that I can manage my time very wisely, very smartly. And also I can multitask it, and I can also work pretty fast. And they're gonna love you right there, right? Because that is exactly the interviewer pretty much said his concern is whether he can if the people can work fast enough to meet all the deadline. You pretty much gave them the answer they are looking for right there. So this is good time to ask this type of question. And you can also ask like, so what do you think about? You can ask them like, what do you thinking is the ideal candidate for this particular job? And they will say like, okay, I'm looking for the guy who has, like jack of trade. Maybe you can go do modeling, bit of modeling, animation, maybe some rigging, some lighting. I can do some bit of like simulation work, and you can just say like, oh yeah, I mean like I can do like this, and I have done this type of project before, and I was able to going back and forth, going into different departments because so I can do this and that, right? So this is also really really help you improve your chance by clearly indicating you are the person they're looking for, right? So it's a good time to kind of ask about that type of information. So the more information that you receive, that will also help you improve your chance of getting a job, right? So it's always a good time to just think about some of the questions you can ask, right? If they ask you whether do you have any questions, we can also ask about the more detailed things about, company benefits or, what do you have? Do you have any like after work event, anything like that? Or how you guys doing all those team building exercise? You guys doing any of that? Those kind of things, those kind of questions will actually help you and then give them an impression that you are genuinely interested in the job, right? So you just think of use that time to really ask those type of questions. Okay? So the final thought is job interview is about negotiation and conversation about your worth and service. So be open-minded about what they offer and what you offer. Okay? So I also post this thing on eCentennial, so you guys can always do some bit of a review as well. It is in a way, it's a lot of things will be fairly common sense to you guys. So it's not like you are, like completely. This is something that completely new to you, right? But yeah, it's important for you guys to know a bit about this. So the more you know about things like this, you'll be better prepared for it so you can actually do a really good job on the job interview. Um, and once again, um, by the time that you are, just the fact that you are invited to the job interview means already a very good sign, even compared to other industries, because in many cases our job largely depends on the quality of the demo reel, right? So in that case, it's once you being just the fact that you're being invited to the interview means you are almost there to get the job. So as long as you don't become like crazy person and you know give them impression that you are the maybe secretly murdering everybody once you start working, you will be fine. So that was the one thing that really they wanted to check on you. Okay. So that's it for today's class. Do you have any question about anything? Yep. Yep. Yeah. It also depending on the company. Some company, if the company is more of a corporate side, um, they usually ask for that. Or if the company is more on the public companies, kind of like that, like public company have like smaller CG graphic department, and you are going to work in there, then they may be asking for that reference. So some of them is even actually doing your background check as well to see whether you have any criminal record, anything like that. Yeah, yeah. But if you actually yeah, if you're going into animation or studio, it's more like in my case, if you're actually just working at the like just normal size like VFX or animation studio, it's very rare they will be asking for the reference. But yeah, if they do ask for that, you can actually ask our your faculty even myself, to it is okay to include their name as a reference. Okay, they should be more than enough. Okay, um, I done it before. I've seen other faculties have done before. So it's obviously if you're going to animation, it'll be better that you actually ask that to your animation faculty, or even myself, who actually have known you for about more than a year. So in that case, you actually definitely qualify as the reference for sure. Yeah, I am aware that the many of you never worked before in the industry, so it is completely understandable that your resume will be lacking actual professional experience, right? Um, so it is tough because many jobs actually um, require you to have a number of years of experience in the field to actually get a job, and it can be very frustrating too, right? I mean, you need to have experience. You need to have experience to actually apply for the job. But where is the opportunity for the experience, right? When everyone is looking for people with experience. So that's like a little bit of you know funny side to it about the industry. Um, and the there's a I mean there's a number of way you can actually go around it, but the it's usually when you, let's say the everyone who apply for that particular job do not have the experience. Like everybody is kind of on the same ground, right? Then what they gonna do? How they going to decide? Well, they will be looking at your demo reel, right? And your demo reel needs to really stand out from the rest. Um, Now once again we are playing the number game. You need to really outshine amongst the hundreds of thousands of demo reel the company is receiving. Um, it's just very tough, right? It's just a very tough competition right away. Um, but what can you do? What can you do to even improve your chance? This is more of I'm just gonna stop.